Should you pay your book artist up front? How do you know they're actually going to finish the work that you've hired them to do? I got this question earlier this week on my YouTube channel, and I want to make sure that we address this to help you out because there's a lot of different sides to this. Now, keep in mind, I am both a professional author and a professional cover designer, graphic designer, etc. And so I'm coming from both sides of this to have this conversation. Should you be paying your person up front? Most artists these days are not going to create a piece of work for you without payment up front, and this is because of how much time and effort goes into this. A lot of people we have seen over the years scam artists and graphic designers, and so contractually they now require this to be upfront. I require it to be upfront as well because I've been scammed before. We do not allow people to order things that are going to take us a ton of time and effort to create without having that there, because we have spent hours and hours created book covers and artwork for different character concepts and then never been paid. You then can't resell that work because nobody else needs that specified work, and you do not have the ability to get that time back. So that is something that artists do to protect themselves. Now, as the author, I can see how that can be a little bit scary to pay a large sum of money for a creation that may never get created. However, you have to understand that all of this is done under a contract. There are terms and services on every artist's website. There are contracts that you're going to be signing in a lot of cases, and this is all going to have information spelled out. So you are legally protected when you're paying this up front, and you do have a leg to stand on should they not get the work done. So you are safe, you are protected, and there's a lot of different layers and levels to that. So within the terms of the contract, it will have specific deadlines and specific information and language covering what they are required to do, your part and their part, so that should it not happen, should they miss their deadlines, should they never create this, you have the ability to potentially take this to court, although it rarely goes to court. You get this handled in advance. You can also take this information to the entity that you've paid through. In a lot of cases, these artists are paid through PayPal, and they have terms and services through PayPal that also protect specifically the person who is purchasing these things even more so than the artists themselves. And so with that in mind, if they do not do the work, you can get a lawyer, but that's usually the last step. More so than that, you can go directly to the entity you paid from and said, hey, listen, I did not get it. Here's the proof of what they were required to do. Here's the proof of them not sending it. Here are the communications I've sent. Here is their lack of communication. I would like my money back. So you do have the ability to go to PayPal. In almost every case, PayPal is going to side with the person who did not get the product received, and so you will be able to get your money back. If for some reason PayPal says no, you can also go to your bank and have that charge disputed. You can do a lot of different things to make sure you get your money back. So while it is a scary situation to put up money for artwork, not sure if you're actually going to get it, there is a ton of protection, way more protection for you as the person who is purchasing than the person who is creating. Now, on the opposite side of this, we have the artists who do not want to spend countless hours creating your piece of work only to have you ghost, or on a scary note, to have them create the content, send it to the author, and then have the author file a dispute with PayPal or with their bank so that they've now created the work, sent it to the person so that they now have it and can use it and then not get paid for it. It's a terrifying world out there because there are a lot of really bad people out in the world. So you have to understand, if you are paying up front, you are very protected in this. It may be a little bit of legwork for you to get your money back, but it's something that you can do and do pretty easily and win just about every time. Unless there's some way that the artist is proving, I did this and sent it to you, you're gonna get your money back from PayPal, from your bank, from whatever it happens to be. Now, of course, if you're scared about this, there tends to be a bit more protection when it comes to credit cards versus your debit card, so maybe pay on your credit card. Have those conversations beforehand and make sure you know what you're doing before you're going through your payment with whatever this is. But again, it really comes down to communication with the person you're working with. Make sure it's a trusted source. Do not just pick up somebody off of Fiverr. Do not just pick up somebody off of Reedsy. Make sure you know who this person is, that they have a reputation, that they've worked with other people, that they have reviews, that they have recommendations from other people, that other people are standing for them. Make sure it's not somebody who is just hanging up a shingle and saying, oh, I can do this for you, and then potentially is going to ghost you. Make sure they have that backlog, make sure they have the track record, make sure they have the social media, they have the website, they've got all those things, and that you've confirmed that they're somebody that other people have actually worked with. Because it's fairly easy to scam people these days on the internet. You can toss up a website and say, oh, this person said this about me, and you don't know if that person's a real person or not. So do the legwork. If you really want to make sure that you are safe and protected with this, go into Facebook groups that are author groups and go to the search tab and then type in artist or book cover creator or whatever it happens to be and look for what other people are saying. You're gonna see other authors talking about people they recommend and people they don't recommend. So you're gonna have a pretty good idea of who you can work with. And then you just have to find somebody who's within your budget, your style needs, etc. to work with. Then have those communications. All of your communications, by the way, need to be through email. You do not want to be doing this through DMs on Instagram. Those don't hold up in a court of law in a lot of cases. So make sure any communication that's on the business side of this is done through email. That way you've got a track record of it. You've got all those receipts. You're able to easily print those and track those, etc. And it is a business format. It is not just chatting on Instagram because, again, social media DMs don't hold up in that court of law. Make sure you understand the terms that you are operating under when you work with this person. You're agreeing to their terms of service, which will be found on their website, and the contract that you are going to be signing with them. And make sure if you've got questions, you're asking questions. Any contract that you sign with people or any terms of service that you agree to should have a clause in there about what happens if they do not fulfill their side of things. Any contract worth its weight in whatever, I definitely just used an interesting conversation there with their salt is what I was trying to get at, will have clauses about what happens if you do not fulfill your payment to them and what happens if they do not fulfill their artwork commitment to you. So you will know exactly what to do, where to go, how to proceed with a potential court hearing, which again, it's not going to get to, but it could. If you really wanted to go to that place, you absolutely could take it there. All those things are going to be spelled out. So make sure that you have that legal protection before you jump into it. If you are working with somebody who just says, yeah, give me a couple dollars and I'll make this thing for you, they're maybe not under an obligation to actually get this done. So do this in the proper way. Make sure you have the proper paperwork and make sure you understand what you're agreeing to. Read the fine print. We're not just going to take people's word for it. Make sure you understand before you jump into these conversations so that you don't have any issues. Then if something happens, make sure you're in communication with them. If they're a day late, reach out. If they're a couple days late, reach out. Make sure you are in constant communication with them so you know what's going on and give a little bit of grace and mercy should they encounter a situation, a health issue, an emergency, something that they didn't see coming up could potentially mess with their timeline a little bit and potentially could prevent them from reaching out to you. So one really important thing to remember is we live in a world where people are getting sick a lot right now and they may not be able to reach out for a couple days because they're so ill. So if you don't hear from them within a couple of days, it's still maybe okay. We do not want to jump the gun on this one and go out of our way to just trash their reputations or to file disputes without giving them proper time should something like a family death have happened or an emergency health situation has come up and they're simply not able to do it for a couple of days. Give them about a week before you start to panic. Really, you can give them, a couple of days, 2-3 days of grace and mercy is good. But before you go filing disputes, give them a full week and make sure that you have tried consistently to reach out to them and have those conversations. From there, you are safe to be paying these people up front as long as you have those legal protections in place. You've got a contract in terms of service. You've got all those things ready to go. And then you are using some kind of trusted payment that you are able to then dispute should you need it. So go through PayPal, go through Stripe, go through something that is going to go through and review it should you file a dispute. Make sure you get on the phone with them if you need to. Sometimes I've had to get on the phone with PayPal when I've had people try to dispute paying me for products that I have created to be able to prove what's going on. So never be afraid to get on the phone with them and make sure you're having those conversations. If you have questions about any of this from the artist perspective or from the author perspective, I am here representing both sides because I am both sides and I have been both sides on the good and bad side of both of those sides. So go ahead and drop the questions down below. And if you have questions about thriving in the publishing space, now's the time. We're dropping daily videos to help you be more profitable inside of the publishing world without the time and stress, commitments, and overwhelm and all of those things. We want to make sure that you are doing the best you possibly can in this industry and raising each other up. I'll see you in the next episode.